Ginsters. This is stress release, yin style yoga practice for as a counterpart to all the sitting down that we do. So we mostly don't sit like this because we're in the car or we're at work or whatever, you know, we're not able to sit like this even if we can sit like this. So this area here gets really tight and compressed, and also we tend to collapse. So I always had really bad posture before I started yoga, and even now it's not as good as a lot of people that I know, but it has corrected it massively. But we do all tend to sort of round in if we're leaning forwards doing anything or whatever. So this practice is going to help to alleviate the effects of that. And there's a little bit more in the description about the different energy channels that you'll be stimulating and opening up, and the fascia, and a bit more information, so that as you come into the practice, you've got that in your mind and you know it makes sense to you what you're doing and the movements that you do. So as usual, you're going to need a couple of props, a couple of bricks, maybe a blanket. So I'm sat on my blanket at the moment, a couple of cushions, and I've got a bolster, but I will show you how to modify the poses if you haven't got a bolster. But if you're into the yin and you think, yeah, you know, this is something I want to carry on doing, you can feel how much good it's doing you, then that is a really good investment. A bolster makes it so much easier. So our first pose, I'm going to talk you into each pose, and then I'm going to let you set the timer on your phone or in some other way, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a guide as to how long I would stay in each of the poses if it was my practice. But the reason for doing it like that is because you can then focus on imbalances in your own body. So if you're one side that's tighter than the other, or one hip that's tighter, shoulder, whatever, you can spend longer on that side. So it just makes more sense to do it that way. So put some nice music on, get yourself an incense stick lit or some sort of room fragrance, and you can go from there. So you're going to set your bricks up so that this front ridge of the first brick comes in line, if for women where your bra strap would be around about there, for men where the tips of your shoulder blades finish. And you can adjust the height of these, so you can have this one higher if you've any neck issues, or you can completely take it away. You can have this one higher. So I'm just going to try this and see how it feels. So that's okay. I just want a gentle opening through the chest. And for the hip work, you can either have your legs in this position, or you can stretch your legs out, and either of those positions for your legs is going to start to release this area here around the groin. And then your arms can be just nice and relaxed, but you want your hands to be resting on the floor, the backs of your hands. And you should be able to feel the opening here, and feel how when you breathe, that inhale lets you expand even a little bit more, and your exhale lets you soften. So it's all about letting go, giving way to the forces of gravity and time, and allowing that to take you into the pose rather than you forcing yourself into a deeper stretch. And you might find that once you set your timer and you're ready to go, you might find that maybe after halfway through, so I'd stay here for about 5 minutes, maybe after half of that time, maybe you could take one of the bricks away. Can you see? But it's a much deeper opening, and you need to be ready for that. I want you to show, and it might be that halfway through, the feelings, the sensations that you get are more intense, and you actually want to bring this back brick to a higher level so that you feel less. That's going to be up to you, and I'm going to come, you're going to come slowly out. So you come out as though you're just waking up from a nap, really lazy movement. So you're going to come out, and after you've tried to stay as still as you can in the pose. So to come out, bend your knees, just roll to the side, so you can come up and take away that brick. And then you're going to come up to a seat. Oh, sorry. Just when you move the bricks, I missed this step out. Just go back to lying flat on the floor and let those parts of your body that were elevated, just let them drop back down as well, and just feel the effects of that. And then really slowly, you're just going to press yourself up. And this is where you might need your bolster. You're going to come into an all fours position. And because you're going to be on one knee, you're not actually going to need your bolster just yet. You can have this left knee on a blanket, walk your hands around to the left and step your right foot forwards. Okay, and you want to get your right foot and your left knee hip width apart. And you need both hands to the inside of this right foot, so it's wide enough for you to be able to do that. And you can also adjust the angle that you're holding this right foot. So for me, I find it helps if I turn that foot at a slight angle. And you could use your bolster, or you could also use cushions, and you could also use bricks. Let me just get the bricks to show that. This foot step forwards, and I'm making a stack of bricks, and I'm going to bring my forearms onto the bricks. And what the sensation that you're feeling is going to be a stretch in the front of this thigh and into this hip crease again, into this hip crease, and you're stretching your heart forward, so you're keeping your chest open. And there's a sense of unraveling any tension in the front of this left thigh and also in your lower back. And then you're going to find something where you can stay nice and still. Another thing that I like to do, not with my glasses on though, is to bring my thumbs so that I can rest my third eye on something. So if you're quite high up like this, it may be that you're going to use your elbows on your bricks and do it this way. If you can come onto your bolster, which means that you'll need to be able to get lower down, you can rest your third eye on the bolster, or you can have your elbows all the way down to the floor and either support yourself here or make a pillow for your head and come down. So there's lots of options there, and it's going to depend on your hip flexibility and your openness in the front of this left thigh. So it's all going to be around that. But once you get into the position that you're going to stay in, you're just going to start your timer and stay here for, I'd say, 3 minutes. You may not last for 3 minutes because these dragon poses, this is one of the dragons, this is baby dragon, are probably the most intense. They require the most muscular energy to stay in of the poses. And then when you're ready, you're going to slowly come out and just shift your hips back and slide this right knee back as well so that it's on your blanket. And you can stay on all fours. I'm going to give you a couple of options as your counter pose. So in the yin yoga, the poses themselves are held for a long time, and you're staying as still as you can and relaxing as much as you can, using as little muscular energy as possible. Your counter poses are either way you're going to move or you're going to come into something a little bit stronger, but not for long. So one of the things that I like to do is just drop my hips a little bit from side to side, keeping your arms straight. And your other thing that you could do is just come up into a very gentle downward facing dog. Just stretch everything out for a moment. And then just moving your prop over to the right. And now you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So I'm not going to talk you all the way into it. I want you to mirror what you did on the other side. So you do the same on each side if your body is going to allow you to do it. One side's probably going to be tighter. And I want you to put your timer on for longer on your tighter side. That's really going to help. And then same thing, come back, either come into that gentle downward facing dog, or maybe you could just sway your hips a little bit different. And then from here, just moving this to the side, we're going to come into pigeon pose. So you're going to bring your right knee towards your right wrist, and then walk your right foot across towards the left a little bit. But your right knee should be wider than your hip. A lot of times I see people with their knee in the middle or even over towards this opposite wrist. And then you're going to slide something, probably, unless you've got very open hips, underneath this right hip, and then walk back with this left foot. And you're trying to get your pelvis level, so you don't want to be twisted this way or twisted that way. You want your pelvis to be level, and you want to be able to rest your hip or your glute on something, so that you might not be high enough. You might need to use your bricks as well underneath there. And then very similar to the last pose, either make yourself a stack of bricks or bring your bolster up. I like the bolster because I like to be able to turn my head to one side when I'm in pigeon. And you can turn your head the same side as your knee, or you can turn it the other way, so you get a little bit of a twist then through your spine. But just be mindful that you need to do the same thing on the other side. So if you turn away from your knee on the first side, then you need to do it on the second side as well, so that you're staying nice and balanced. And again, some people like to bring their chin onto the bolster, and some people can come lower and come all the way down, make a pillow for the head with their hands. But you want to still be able, if you come too low, then gravity isn't able to drop this hip because you're taking the weight out of the hip. So from here, you might find that over time, as you're in the pose, you're able to slide the brick or block away or lower the height of it, and then go back into your pose. So you're going to do that on this side. And then, so set your timer, I'd say about 5 minutes on each side for that one, maybe longer if you've got longer. And then from here, you're going to slide this right foot back, and then stretch your leg out, and maybe even do some little circles with that knee, opening the hip up, and then switching sides. So you're going to step your left knee forwards, and you'll be able to see it a little bit more what happens with this foot, and walk your foot across, and then tuck your back toes under, and you're going to start to walk yourself back. Now this hip is always tighter for me, so I definitely need the blanket at first, and it is hard to tell. You might have to get somebody else to tell you if your hips are completely level at the back or your pelvis. And then untuck your toes and then come into whatever version you did on the other side with your arms. And set your timer. Again, if you're a bit tighter on this side, if it was me, I would stay for about a minute or two longer on this side to start bringing some balance in. Do your little counter pose like you did before. So circling around. And before we move to the next pose, I'm just going to give you a counter pose, not a counter pose, a different version of that pigeon pose. If it hurts your knee, to load bear on your knee, even with something underneath your hip, then your alternative is to come down onto your back and cross your leg over your thigh, so your ankle is on your thigh towards your knee, and then either stay here if that's enough, or you can put a brick underneath this foot, or you can hold the back of this leg or even the shin. So you're progressing through those stages, so you're still gradually increasing the hip opening, you're just not getting the thigh opening at the front, and it won't bother your knee either. So it's a safe position for you to come into. And then from here, you're going to swing your legs around, walk more towards the front of your mat, and you're going to come into this wide-kneed, what we call a child's pose, and then take your bolster behind you. So you're going to go in stages. So it might be that you just start by taking your hands back, and as you stay in the pose, you're trying to keep your chest open, but it is more muscular energy to keep yourself supported up on your hands through your arms. So it might be that you bend your knees after a minute, not your knees, your elbows, just change the position of your arms. Maybe you alter the angle of your hands, so that every so often you just bring a little bit of movement in, and it just releases any tension that's building up. And the other option is that if you're able to lie all the way back, that you lie all the way back with your arms out to the sides. So again, you can see, like we did in that first pose, you're opening up your chest, opening up the groin area and the thighs. It's also a really nice stretch for the ankles. So you've areas in your body that have got lots of lymph nodes, sort of collections of lymph nodes. And in your ankles and your groin and the backs of your knees, there's a concentration there, and across your abdomen and up the sides of your torso, under your arms. So you're able to stimulate all of those lymph nodes and help your body to flush out toxins and give itself a little bit of a cleanse. So you need to be mindful of coming out of this pose nice and safely. So you're going to come back and bring your elbows onto the floor and start to push yourself up, and then one hand and then the other hand, and slowly make your way up. And then remove that out of the way. So don't forget that you're setting your timer, and if that position is okay for you, I would definitely stay in that position for as long as you can, at least 4 or 5 minutes. And then as a counter pose, just pat your feet out on the floor, and you can even just sit back, curl your toes under just for a moment, and release the tops of your feet. And then from here, however you get there, you're going to make your way onto your back, and we're going to do a happy baby. So you're going to hold onto your feet or your shins or the backs of your thighs, or you can just keep your knees nice and wide and pull your knees down towards your armpits. So whichever version you take, and this is just going to be maybe 1 or 2 minutes that you're going to stay here for. And resetting the curves in your spine. So, and from there, you're going to cross your right thigh over your left, and you're going to shift your hips to the right. And then you're going to pick up your legs, and this is where some people, depending on body proportion, may be able to double wrap the legs, but you're going to drop your knees over to the left for twisted roots. And if you need to slide something underneath your legs, and then you're going to extend this right arm out to the right. You can choose where you position your head. I like to just roll my head from side to side when I first get into it, nice and slowly, and just see which position feels as though it's calling me to stay there, that I'm going to be able to stay still and stay there. And again, set your timer. And this is one of the longer holds again, so maybe 5-6 minutes. And you might find that after a few minutes of stillness, you're able to take the blanket away or your prop away and let the shoulder drop more towards the floor. And then from here, we're just going to come up using your foot, relax back onto your back, and then just drop your knees from side to side. And then you're going to come and do the same thing on the other side. So I'll show you on this side so you've seen it from this angle. It's going to cross your left thigh over your right, shift your hips to the left, and then drop your knees to the right. So you can double wrap if you did that on the other side, or single wrap. I used my blanket at first until my body had relaxed into the shape, extending my left arm out to the left. Again, whatever position, find position that's most easeful in your neck and shoulders for your head. And again, set your timer. Relax back. Enjoy the stillness and enjoy the silence, because this is the medicine for your body. This is the magic of this particular type of practice. Give yourself this time. You deserve it, and your body really needs it. And then slowly, when you're ready to come out, press the lower back towards the floor, use your legs, unravel. And again, dropping your knees side to side. And then you're going to come into Shavasana. Oh. So, just making your way to your final pose. This pose that integrates and heals and nourishes and vitalizes, such an important part of each and every practice that you do. So give yourself plenty of time here. Let the relaxing and grounding and softening process continue all the way to the very end of your Shavasana. So at least 5 minutes and longer if you've got it. And then when you're ready, maybe having a little stretch, and then drawing your knees in and rolling to one side, whichever side. Take a few breaths there, and then pressing down into your hands, bringing yourself back up. So see if you can hold on to whatever qualities you cultivated in that stress relieving, slow, passive practice. So whether that's being really relaxed, whether it's being really turning inwards and feeling very, very embodied, whether it's just a sense of peace and of just being with yourself for that time that you've been in good practice. So thank you for watching, thank you for doing the practice with me and reaping all of those wonderful benefits from it, and I will see you on the next video.